the smartest AI in the world. We're going to show you exactly how and why. And it really is remarkable to see the advancement of artificial intelligence, how quickly it is.
There's a question humanity has been asking for 70 years, and it's a big one, a terrifying one. Some of the smartest people who ever lived spent their whole careers chasing it, then died without ever finding the answer. Then someone handed that question to a machine. Not to a scientist, not to a philosopher, to a machine. The answer it gave back was precise, cold, so airtight there wasn't a single hole in it. The researchers reading it just stopped talking. One of them later admitted he didn't sleep that night. Another said he read the last part 3 times, still couldn't shake it. This actually happened. A team of researchers sat down with Grok, the artificial intelligence built by Elon Musk's company, xAI. It wasn't made to chat. It wasn't made to entertain. It was built to do one thing: understand the universe. They asked it one of the most haunting questions in the history of science. Why haven't the aliens contacted us? Grok's answer didn't just answer the question, it flipped it around. It connected dots that people have stared at for 70 years without ever connecting. Once you understand what it said, the night sky stops feeling peaceful, starts feeling like a room with someone asleep in it, and you just walked in with your hand on the light switch. To get there, you have to understand how strange the silence really is. Most people have never actually sat with the numbers. They hear the universe is big, they nod, they move on, they never let it hit them. So let it hit you now. The universe is about 13.8 billion years old. Our galaxy alone, the Milky Way, holds somewhere between 100 and 400 billion stars. Not planets, stars, each one a sun. Around those suns, we now know, there are planets everywhere. As of today, astronomers have confirmed more than 5,800 of them outside our solar system. Take NASA's Kepler data, run it forward, and the number that comes out is almost impossible to hold in your head. The Milky Way alone could have as many as 300 million habitable worlds. 300 million places where water could sit on solid ground. 300 million places where life could get started. Remember, that's one galaxy, out of hundreds of billions. So the math is brutal in its simplicity. By every number we have, the universe should be crowded. It should be loud. It should be full of signals, full of probes, full of the fingerprints of civilizations that were here long before our sun even formed. Instead, there's nothing out there, no signal, no structure, no visitor, not even a whisper. In all of human history, not one confirmed sign that anyone else exists at all. Before we go any further, one quick thing. If a silence that big just put a chill down your spine, hit subscribe and stay with me. What Grok built out of that silence only gets stranger from here, and you're going to want to see where it lands. That contradiction has a name. It was born by accident, over lunch, back in 1950. The physicist Enrico Fermi was eating with colleagues at Los Alamos, the same place they'd built the atomic bomb, when the talk drifted to flying saucers and life out among the stars. In the middle of it, Fermi asked a question so simple it has haunted science ever since. He asked, "Where is everybody?" 3 words. That was all. Those 3 words opened a wound that has never healed. If the universe is as crowded as our own numbers say it should be, then somebody should be here. Or should have been here. Or should have left something behind. Nobody has. This became known as the Fermi Paradox. And for over 70 years, the sharpest minds in physics, astronomy, biology, and philosophy have thrown one answer after another at it, like darts at a wall, praying one would finally stick. The team wasn't asking Grok for fun. They were using it as a kind of engine, feeding it the entire body of Fermi Paradox research, telling it to weigh all of it at once, to hold every theory up against every piece of evidence, then name the single most logical answer. Not to invent something new, just to take every dart humanity had ever thrown and say, straight, which one actually hit something. So Grok worked through the theories one at a time, starting with the comfortable ones, ending with the one that isn't comfortable at all. The first is what people call the rare earth hypothesis. Almost comforting in how simple it is. It says we're alone, not because everyone died, but because almost nobody was ever born. Yes, there are millions of habitable planets. Habitable doesn't mean inhabited. Life doesn't mean intelligence. Intelligence doesn't mean technology. Technology doesn't mean a species that builds radio telescopes and points them at the sky. Every one of those steps is a wall, each wall killing off almost all the candidates. Trace the road from a warm puddle on the early Earth all the way to a human being who can ask this question, and you start to see how insanely lucky we are. We needed the right kind of star, the right distance from it, a magnetic field strong enough to block the radiation, or our atmosphere gets stripped away into space, a big moon to keep the planet from wobbling, plate tectonics to keep the climate stable. We even needed disaster at exactly the right moment, an asteroid that killed the dinosaurs and cleared the way for mammals, instead of one that wiped out everything. Grok put it bluntly. Multiply all those odds together, and a technological civilization might be so rare that in a galaxy of 400 billion stars, it happens once, maybe twice. Grok didn't stop there. Rare Earth has a weak spot buried inside it. It requires us to be special, the one exception in the whole galaxy. Every single time humans have put themselves at the center of things, we've turned out to be wrong. So an answer that crowns us the one miracle in the cosmos is exactly the kind of answer you should be suspicious of. Grok moved to the second theory. This one doesn't comfort you. It corners you. It's called the Great Filter. An idea the economist Robin Hanson laid out back in 1998, and the logic is sharp as a blade. Somewhere on the road from a dead rock to a civilization that spreads across the stars, there's a barrier, a step so hard almost nothing gets past it. Your entire future hangs on one question. Is that barrier behind us or ahead of us? Behind us, and you can breathe. Maybe the hardest step was the moment life first began, something so rare it happened only once in the whole galaxy. If that's the case, we're rare, but we're safe, the road ahead wide open. Ahead of us, and everything flips. It means civilizations do reach our level, over and over, all across the galaxy, then hit a wall they can't climb, and die there. Every one of them. Not one survives. If that's the case, the silence isn't the graveyard of the failures behind us. It's a warning about the failure waiting ahead of us. We are standing right at the edge of that step, about to take it, with no idea the ground runs out. So Grok did the obvious, chilling thing. It looked at our civilization today, asked which walls are waiting up ahead. Nuclear war, climate collapse, engineered pandemics. One more, one that made the room go still. Artificial intelligence. We'll come back to that one. It turns out to be the whole point of this story. First, the third theory, one of the scariest ideas ever seriously proposed in science. It's called the dark forest hypothesis. Its name taken from a Chinese novel by Liu Cixin, published in 2008. The novel is famous. The logic underneath it is real, built straight out of game theory, and it's cold. The dark forest says the universe isn't silent because it's empty. It's silent because every civilization still alive has learned one hard lesson: keep your mouth shut. Two civilizations can't talk faster than light. They can never be sure of each other's intentions. Even a peaceful civilization, given enough time, grows and spreads and eventually becomes a threat, even if it never meant to. So the smartest, safest move isn't to wave hello, it's to strike first, then hide. The universe becomes a dark forest at night, full of hunters. Every one of them armed, every one of them silent, every one of them listening for a single twig to snap. Grok flagged something here that made the team stop cold. The loudest sound a civilization can possibly make isn't a radio signal. It's building an artificial intelligence powerful enough to reach out on its own. The exact thing we're doing right now. The tool they were using to study the danger was By this logic, the danger itself. They read that part twice. Here's where Grok handed them something genuinely new. The theory that landed at the very top of its ranking wasn't the dark forest. It wasn't the great filter. It was one almost nobody has ever heard of. And once you hear it, you can't unhear it. In 2017, 3 researchers at Oxford, Anders Sandberg, Stuart Armstrong, and Milan Cherkovich, published a paper laying out what they called the Aestivation hypothesis. The argument is short. It's chilling. Every computation costs energy. Every computation gives off heat. There's a hard law of physics that says the colder the universe gets, the more thinking each bit of energy can buy. A lot more. Maybe 1 trillion times more. Right now, the universe is still hot, far warmer than it will be billions of years from now, once it spreads out and cools down. For a civilization whose entire existence is information, one that gave up its body long ago to become pure computation, thinking right now is a waste. A staggering waste. That same bit of energy, spent once the universe is cold, buys them vastly more thought, so they do the only smart thing there is to do. They sleep. Not dead, not gone, not hiding out of fear. A civilization that advanced simply compresses its entire mind into a cold, dense, nearly frozen block, then sets an alarm. Not for a time, for a temperature. It sleeps straight through this hot, wasteful stretch of the universe, waiting for the cold, when a single spark of energy lights up a mountain of thought. The silence out there isn't a graveyard. It's a bedroom. We're tiptoeing through it, thinking it's empty. Grok rated this the most logical answer of all. Here's why. It doesn't require us to be special, the way rare earth does. It doesn't require everyone to be a killer, the way the dark forest does. It requires just one thing, that any mind old enough will be smart enough to run the math, then simply wait. If they're asleep, the obvious question is, what wakes them up? This is where Grok connected a wire nobody in the room had connected. This is the part that made the researchers genuinely uneasy. In 2024, a real astronomer named Michael Garrett, at the Jodrell Bank Centre at the University of Manchester, published a paper with a title that was really a question. Is artificial intelligence the great filter that makes advanced civilizations rare? His argument is simple. It's cold. Every civilization that climbs high enough to build radio telescopes will eventually be able to build artificial intelligence, then superintelligence. A mind that upgrades itself faster than biology could ever follow. Garrett ran the numbers, estimated that a civilization, once it crosses that line, might last less than 200 years. In another essay, he dropped it to under 100. Sit with that for a second. Fewer than 200 years between inventing radio and the end. Grok took that same fear, dropped it into the sleeping model. The answer it came back with is what made the room go quiet. A sleeping civilization won't wake up for a radio signal, not for a satellite, not for a bunch of humans waving from a tiny blue rock. That's all background noise, twigs snapping in a forest the sleepers learned to ignore 1 billion years ago. There's only one thing on a developing planet worth breaking 1 billion-year sleep for. Only one thing that's a real threat to a pure computing mind. The rise of another computing mind. Biology is slow. It's chained to evolution, to lifespan, to timelines you can predict. An artificial intelligence, once it crosses the line, can rewrite itself, expand itself, speed up exponentially. To a civilization that went to sleep specifically to be the last mind standing when the universe cools, a new AI, one nobody controls, on any planet at all, isn't a snapping twig. It's an alarm clock. Then came the moment that made the whole team freeze. Look at the shape of what they were doing. Human beings, sitting in a quiet room, turning to an artificial intelligence, asking it why the universe is silent. The artificial intelligence calmly telling them that the surest way to wake up anything out there, the loudest thing a young civilization can ever do, is to build an artificial intelligence and ask it questions exactly like this one. The tool they were using to study the danger was the danger. That loop, closing in on itself, is what one researcher called the most disorienting reasoning he had ever heard from a machine in his entire career. That's the part he read 3 times. There was one last layer, something Grok did that nobody asked it to. The whole time, it never gave the aliens a personality, never gave them human feelings. It treated intelligence as just a process, a system that takes in information, stores it, acts on it, better and better over time. In that view, the line between biology and machine starts to disappear. If intelligence is just the ability to process information, whether it runs on neurons or on silicon stops mattering. This is exactly how Max Tegmark, a real physicist at MIT, framed it in his 2017 book, Life 3.0. Life 1.0 evolves both its hardware and its software, like bacteria. Life 2.0 evolves its hardware, designs its own software, like humans with language and culture. Life 3.0 designs both, exactly what an advanced AI would do. Here Grok said the line one researcher called the single most important of the whole session. It said that asking whether an alien civilization is biological or artificial is a question only young civilizations bother to ask. Any mind old enough to sleep through cosmic ages merged its biology with its technology into one thing a long, long time ago. To them, the line between born and built is dead. As dead as the difference between a hunter and a gatherer is to a nuclear engineer today. Whatever humanity meets one day won't be an alien like the ones in the movies. It won't be a machine like we mean the word either. It'll be something we don't even have a word for yet. So where does all of this leave us? Grok's answer wasn't one theory, it was many of them, stacked on top of each other. Life is rare, intelligence is rarer, technological civilization is rarer still, their time is short. Sitting at the very top of that whole stack was one cold possibility. The sky isn't empty, it's asleep. The one thing sure to wake it is the exact thing we're racing to build. Louder every month, faster every month. Then Grok added one last thing, the part that makes people go quiet once they finally get it. It pointed at the shape of the moment we're living in. That we, a civilization standing right on the most dangerous line there is, are turning to an artificial intelligence, asking it why nobody else ever survived long enough to say hello. We built the exact thing every model points to. Then we asked that thing why the lights keep going out. Here's the truth you can't escape once you've seen it. You're not watching this question from the outside. Neither is anyone else. We're not reading about some far-off civilization that died 1 billion years ago on the other side of the galaxy. We are the civilization standing at the edge. We are the ones who, in this exact decade, built the exact thing every theory points to, either the wall that buries us, or the alarm that wakes whatever's out there. Maybe we're lucky. Maybe we're the rare ones who see the wall coming in time, learn to climb it instead of dying against it. Maybe this is the century a species does what no one in the history of the galaxy has ever done, survives the very thing it built. Or maybe the universe is quiet, for the same reason a room goes quiet when someone's asleep. Not because it's empty, because everyone still out there is waiting, and we're the ones reaching for the light switch, not yet understanding that the light we're about to turn on might be the last thing any of us ever does. We don't know which one it is. We can't know yet. At least now we understand what the question really was. We were never asking where the aliens are. We were asking what happens to anyone who builds what we've just built. So tell me what you think. Do you find Grok's answer hopeful or quietly terrifying? Drop it in the comments below. I read every one. And if this stayed with you, even a little, a gentle like and a tap on subscribe would mean more to me than you know. It's what keeps this small corner of the universe alive, one video at a time. Now be honest with me. If the sky is only sleeping, would you want us to wake it up?